Greetings and love, and peace and blessings be upon thee. All glory. Give thanks for the day. Give thanks for life. Give thanks for this moment, yeah? And I just wanted a reason because sometimes, you sit there and you think in your head and you say to yourself, these are things that you have to not just remember but also put out there. And we're looking at an interesting time where we are being propelled, what some call the quickening, and some of it is, based upon understanding that it wasn't that long ago so many of us couldn't read, weren't exposed to an education system, and even in the times in which, those of us, I would say 30 and over, remember how difficult it was just to get black books, just to be able to learn about His Majesty, and to be able to actually get cross-referencing, research on different authors, things like this. All of this was very difficult. And we have to give thanks because, we've been given a work which is like being given a relay in a relay race. And in that work is that the race continues, and at the same place, it's the same baton. That baton is the message of His Majesty, which is, I would say, part of the continuation, revisitation, reformation, as well as a revitalization of the Holy Word. So when we see His Majesty, and we see that attenuation of the original man to the original man, you will find that He who is both the beginning and the end is forever, and yet the baton is that foreverness, is that message. That's the message in which we're here to continue. So that message is education, so that we can actually be intelligent in what we present. I don't have a bunch of quotes and the scriptures with me, and this isn't one of those type of sermons or preaching things. I'm not here for that right now. When it comes to looking at what does it mean to have purpose in your life, what does it mean to have direction, to know where you're going, to know why you're here. Rastafari. That's where His Majesty comes forward. Those who know His Majesty have direction. We have been given instruction. Those instructions are direct from Him. So those natures of even watching the pursuance of faith, the graduation of faith, that we are watching a living God going through a living issue called a lack of humanity in humanity, we could say. And it is interwoven into the black man and African's experience of being 400 years in exile, that this is an echo of the same experiences and how the Hebrews would develop as a people, that their mission to reach home, that repatriation is the ultimate goal for the soul of many ones. And if it's not literally or physically, it's in dignity. To have the black honor of heritage and ancestry, of our art and culture, not demeaned, but protected, respected, and shared. This is what it means to be a Messiah, is to free ones, to bring salvation. His Majesty has brought salvation. He has showed how Africa must free itself further. He's passed the baton, but He also freed Africa. He created the world in which we're living in, even. Like literally Haile Selassie I. So there's an interesting element of understanding key things in His Majesty. And it makes it so that it becomes even more complicated to some, and understandably. His Majesty has, how do I put it? If you read in the book of Enoch, you will see that His Majesty is seated upon the throne, in those times. For us to see it with our eyes is to realize the nature of His Majesty loving humanity in order so that He would become flesh. We have seen this before. The only way that you can pick somebody up is if you bow down to help them. There is a level of European concept in which we have bought into, of titles and prophecy even, in which we don't realize that what is right is God. What is truth is God. What is one with God is God. So there's a certain element of really now looking into the nature of the oneness between the different personalities. So if I say Emperor Haile Selassie I, I'm talking about the personage of King Selassie I. If I am saying Haile Selassie, I am saying the power of the Trinity. If I am speaking on the Trinity, that is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit to I and I, which is also translatable through symbolism and allegories to mind, body, and soul, man, woman, and child, past, present, and future, prophet, priest, and king. But there is a certain element of realizing the oneness before we separate anything, because the oneness is what creates it so that there is not a division, there is not a breaking or a part of God in here and a part of, it is the fullness of the Creator in different manners. So if we look at this thing as different heavens, in heaven, you have different manners upon the house, on the earth, different mansions. And in each one of those houses, there are many houses, many rooms. You know, just similar to how every human is really a different galaxy. You know, so the very nature of the things spoken versus the things thought. Unseen versus that which is heard and spoken. There's a frequency of realizing that the word in itself is that which is self-realized, that is self-evident, that it had to come to be. Just like why I'm sitting here in my car talking to you. You know, I have no problem talking to myself because I know that I am not myself. I am not talking to the space or air. I'm talking to God himself. Everything I say echoes throughout the universe forever. And this nature of thinking foreverness is not real. Foreverness is life. So when we start looking at purpose, placement, and why His Majesty is so in this time, why do we look at this as finding a perfect harmony and balance? And it's because of the humility, the interwovenness, that what we see is a time continuum in which the Most High has shown himself in this presence, saying in many different ways, from the importance of non-aligned states, if we want to get international with it, the importance of not aligning yourself with the United States, Russia, China, France, or the UK, just in order so that you can be now with the world. You know, his own ways of having to deal with inequity and inequality. The ways of saying, you know, that there needs to be an advancement in human compassion. And this challenge to bring love from the highest, to be unexpected, to do things in a very unorthodox way. His Majesty is both orthodox and unorthodox. You know, he is the algorithm that will mess up your algorithm because he is the foundation. And why is that? Because now you're dealing with Ethiopia. Now you're dealing with the powers of heaven on earth, the marriage of the bride and the bridegroom. It is very interesting because of the ways in which so many of us look at things. And I think it's important for Rastafari not to overrate their importance when it comes to the greater scheme of human theology and thought in their quest to find themselves. That we, in a sense, are the shepherds and the sheep are many, and the shepherds are few. So there's a frequency where how well you take care of the sheep it shows how good of a shepherd you are. So it's not about whether you went to shepherd school or how many shepherds you've apprenticed next to or so on and so forth. You get it, right? Like, this is the frequency of realizing that the job well done is the job done highly. That what is acceptable and proper is universal in its form. And for perfection to take form, it takes a foundation of upfulness. What is the highest that we can see our foundation from? So when it comes to His Majesty, thinking of Him, seeing Him, we become His thoughts. We become Him. Because what you see, you do actually start to emulate and become. That which you think, You start becoming the word in your mind. That which was unseen becomes seen. And so it is from this nature in which, from the darkness comes the light. His Majesty is many things to many people. Many things to many people. Different degrees. You know what? As long as it's good, it's all right with me. Because Jah is. And everyone understands Jah. Do they understand Jah in flesh? That Jah liveth in the heart of man? That Jah was made to rule creation in righteousness? That there shall be eventually a perfection of man who doesn't mess up? Who is not full of sin? These things were meant to be. Because of the way that mathematically you done seen everything go wrong, you have to see it go right. You've seen us lost, so we must become found. You have seen us divided, so we must unite. When you look for everything else and you can't find what you're looking for, eventually you'll come to Rastafari. Rastafari, a mystic thing, because not anyone can say Rastafari. They have to absolutely see the divinity. And when they do that, they're going to have to realize you can't hold up the crown and not hold up the cross. So you're going to have to deal with your emotional issues and your discrepancies upon classes. Because in a lot of ways, we come and break that class thing down. His Majesty is a king that does not believe in classism. Because Christ suffered, he conquered. The very nature of understanding and researching and coming to a good relationship with Christians around you, no matter what their faith. We are all being challenged. Right now, I have some serious challenges. I want to meet with the Archbishop of Santa Fe and the Catholic Church because of what he's saying here in New Mexico. It's positive things about standing up as both Christians and New Mexicans against nuclear weapons. Because at the end of the day, you don't have no option of fighting and having discussions and reasonings and book readings and, interpretations if you don't exist. We are in a situation where safety and security are not taken into are not concerning the shepherds. So if the shepherds want to do a good thing, then look out for the earth, look out for the land, look out for the poor, look out for the animals, those who are defenseless, look out for the children. So these are the frequencies in which need to be, looked at as how, we can build together. Because it's one of them things where the Almighty has the final say. We're not here to question the faith of man, but look and ask questions, and a lot of ones have been in a situation where they've been injured by religion. And we have to realize how we get past that trauma, how we start healing that. How do we not replicate the victimizer as the victim? And we do it a lot, so it's a certain thing where it's like one thing or another. And I think that, it's a certain thing that is complicated. Because, again, I'm full of it, as far as, like, prejudice sometimes, and bias. Every human being is. They gotta really see it, that this is a human condition. We have issues of mental illness all around us. We have, our spirits are under attack. And you have to be greater than your environment. You have to actually shape your environment so that it does not emotionally challenge you, but you emotionally uplift it. You have to be the master of your domain. And that master doesn't mean trying to dominate. The very nature of this is to try and elevate and communicate, to be able to embrace. These are the things that are the most difficult. And so you have to realize how to be the healer, how to be the shepherd, and not fall into a sheep mentality, and not be a victim, not be somebody sitting there who, in a sense, wants to repay evil for evil. If I only respected people that respect me, it wouldn't be a lot of positive interactions. There's a certain nature where, like, one, you earn respect. It's not just a given. And there's a certain level where you earn it by you respect yourself. How you see yourself is how other people see you. So there's a certain level of not lowering yourself. And this is what Christ's message was in a foundational element. It's what the king's actions showed. That there wasn't anyone he wouldn't sit with. That he would come in unannounced. He would be with you when you opened your eyes. He would be there in surgery. He was your substitute teacher. He was coming to your house with blankets. His Majesty broke through the element of being in a box that would hold God in a box. The nature of love not being contained, but to be open so it can be true love, universal love. This is what Christ came and showed. That we're not here to put people in boxes. And that includes prisons. It includes a lot of, it's just box upon box upon box around here, man. You here unlock them things, open them things, and share. So that ones can see, okay, how does one person help another? How can one actually be able to heal another? You know, so there's a certain frequency of realizing, you know, Christ came to sit amongst those who were the dirtiest. You know, there's a frequency of not being patient. And that's only at the detriment of the teacher. Because if a teacher does not have patience, how is he going to bring salvation? Now, the contrast to that, you don't want to see people filling you up with baby food. And, you know, we have to keep on a move. You know, we're not here to slow down. They're here to catch up. But they need to be encouraged. You know, we need to realize everyone coming from different spaces and have something to offer and listen to them. Respect is something that is a mutual form of honoring that we have something that the other does not, that we want to share, that we want to get out that box. We want them to get out that box. So it's with love, you know, that everything must be done. Everything. And love can be tough, don't get me wrong. But I want to get back to His Majesty because everything has to come back to Him. It's interesting because in the book of Revelations, there becomes a debate about whether or not one should be bowing to the Son of Man. You know, that certain ones, when they see Him, you know, that they are overwhelmed by Him. The relationship and the understanding of the difference between the Son of God and the Son of Man is important. It's to understand, you know, a completion in flesh in which the God which is one and eternal has shown Himself in different forms. So the importance of having a father and a son show themselves. The nature of the way Christ behaved and the way that Christ treated ones was like a brother. Wasn't so much like a father. The way His Majesty came was as the Father, with the Father. The nature of realizing that to be considered by the Creator, to be made in His likeness and image, and then to have Him not just guide us internally, but to show that you have lost your way, and hence I will save you. His Majesty put the entire earth on a proper course in which He showed that though we feel pain, that we conquer by being true. That pain isn't the worst thing. That life is about legacy. Life is about leading others to leadership. Life is about looking at longevity. His Majesty has put this into a point in which now Africa, Ethiopia, and the world have to pick up from where they lost and left off. Ain't nothing changed. The truth remains the same, and it only is a matter of time before one's come back around and realize you're in the same situation you were in before. And except now it's more complicated because you didn't listen. You know, having faith is how we get through things. You know, you'll see constant allegories of a farmer in the scriptures. And that's because a farmer's life is based on faith. Faith in the law of life, of the law of creation. When you see Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed speak about Pan-African specific issues, when you see the subjects being spoken of by many leaders, you will see Kwame Nkrumah's words coming clear. You will see Haile Selassie's words coming clear. The same words ignored and looked at as, you know, renaissance, visionary, nuance, unlikely, trying to make it like freedom is some sort of far-off dream. Freedom is the only way we're going to survive. And we have the right to be more than just survivors. We have the right to build upon our freedom, upon our independence. And this is going to happen by us believing and having faith in each other and ourselves. And that faith is not in, Bob or John or Jill. It's the faith in God, in them. The faith that within them they will find solutions they didn't even know they had. The faith that they will pray. And we do need to pray more and more. When you pray for others, it does something to the universe. Get out of praying for yourself. So this is something in which will bring a strength to your spirit to remember how many things need to be remembered, what needs to be remembered, and how blessed it is to have direction, to have instruction. So look at His Majesty's words and see the way that He embraced, taught, encouraged, shared, and broke open and made captivity captive. He broke the chains. Now we can reason. And this is a new time. We've gone through generation of ridicule, only to be seen as those that genuinely have inspired. I sometimes think about Ethiopia and the way Rastafari has had an effect there as a movement. And one of the first things that strikes me is Rastafari has done more for the people of Ethiopia than they did for themselves. They've done more to help Ethiopians than to help build their communities or their economies and businesses. And you know what? It was the right thing. It may have looked disorganized and failures, and it could have been a lot more. And how come? I think when you give so much to the people, you're going to go home to Ashanti. So there's a certain level of looking at how much love did Rastafari give to Africa and Ethiopia versus how much love or in any way have we gotten from Africa as a continent or from Ethiopia, whether the people or the government. It's not about getting, it's about giving. And to receive your less and give your more, for Jah is the only way. So the very nature of watching how we've impacted Africa and Ethiopia, and really the whole world, into relaxing and looking at each other as brothers and sisters, as understanding is the key to wisdom, that love presides, that we are one. Key little things that are very simple, but they seem to be a reminder of an unbroken man, an unbroken woman, proud in her turban and dress, holding on to culture, protecting with pride, and sometimes maybe a little too much pride, but there's a certain joy that we've held, because the Most High shall know His children by their joy, and that joy is contagious. So I would like to say thank you, Rastafari, as a movement, for caring more about the youth in the community, caring more about helping out ones and ones on the street than bigging up your pockets and trying to make your mansion great in a land of changing and complications. It's better to suffer and sit and be with ones and ones and feel their pain in order so you can feel your own divinity and their own ability to rise and be resurrected. Much to say, but it is one. And we have to look at this as one, whether it's history, time, scripture, people, and not one where we don't have differences. The way that I look at the quickest way to explain the difference between the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit is like water. That the Father Father is water, pure, liquid. That which you need, that which you are. That which you are made of and it sustains you. That which you can grasp but can't hold. That which is in your hand but yet falls out. When I look at the sun, I see ice. Solid. You can hold that. It has been made into a form. It is temporary. It will melt away. But it is the Father. And then the Holy Spirit is like steam, where you can feel it, but you can't hold it. You can't touch it. You can't drink it. It just comes, both out of you and to you. So, they're all water, but they have completely different ways of being seen, felt, touched, the way it affects your body. So, understanding that the Almighty, to be one, has to be in everyone and everything. That if He is everything, He's everything. And now we have to deal with the graduation of awakenings, of birth and of rebirth, of life, death, and resurrection, and that continuation forever and ever. Give thanks for listening. I think that's all I have to say for now. I look forward to reasoning more, and I look forward to your comments, and give thanks and praise. One perfect love. May the Most High bless thee and keep thee all the days of thy life. May His face shine upon you. Give thanks that you can see the Most High. Jah, Rastafari, Haile Selassie the First, my Lord and Empresses. Blessed.